Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. This is Trevor Hall of Clear Creek Digital, and we're trying something a little bit new and different. Today, I am joined with the Executive Chairman, Bill Howald of Blackrock Gold. Blackrock trades on the TSX Venture Exchange with the symbol BRC, and also on the OTC markets with BKRRF. Blackrock is developing the Silver Cloud project and exploring that area in Nevada. It's a high-grade, low-sulfidation gold and silver project adjacent to Hecla's Hollister mine. It's an interesting story recently. There's been a number of historic drilling, but nothing in the last 10 years or last decade. And so we have asked Robert to come in and sit with Bill. And I know Robert knows the story pretty well. And Bill's got a number of things he wants to show us with the geological model he has available. So we're going to kind of turn it over to Robert. And gentlemen, thanks for joining us. And I look forward to the conversation and learning something new about this project and see how things have the reinterpretation of the project as well. So Robert, why don't you take it from here?
Thanks, Trevor. I think it's a really exciting time right now for this company as they get ready to punch the first holes into the ground at Silver Cloud in 15 years, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Is that right, Bill?
That's correct.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about the Silver Cloud property and why you think it's such a special opportunity right now, Bill?
Okay, let me just get this up here. Okay, well, I'll just start out with the location of Silver Cloud. It was quite an interesting place, north central Nevada. We've got the Carlin Trend, the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend, Getchell Trend, and then you've got this a series of low sulfidation, high grade epithermal systems such as Midas, Hollister, and as we'll see, Silver Cloud. Silver Cloud is quite an interesting project. I think it's one of the best low sulfidation systems in Nevada that's been underexplored or unexplored. You know, there's roughly 40 square kilometers of ground there, right adjacent to Hollister and just south of the Midas mine. We know it has high grade. We've seen that in the past with the Teck drilling, which drilled roughly 158 grams of gold over 1.5 meters, and the former Placer Dome and its drilling to the west of that, which intersected a little over 12 meters at 5.5 grams. And so we know there's a system there. What's been lacking is really the geologic understanding of that system. What we've been able to do is really build on the back of you know, the previous operators and workers in the district. This is a map of the Silver Cloud area itself. As I said, it's quite a large area. And down to the south here, this is what I refer to as the Teck area on the right side and the Placer Dome area on the left side. And those two drill campaigns, basically in 2000 and in 2002, first one by Teck and the second one by Placer, really focused on trying to follow up on the initial hits and chase a structure that they interpreted to be north-south, basically, kind of north-northwest. And what you see is in the drainage pattern, you can kind of see that north-northwest pattern, and everybody thought that was the main control. If you look up here in the upper right of the screen, you'll see the Hollister mine. And for many, many years, they chased high-grade hits, kind of in a north-south oriented pattern. Again, you can see that kind of north-northwest pattern over by the Hollister mine. And, you know, they had all these high-grade hits that they were unable to connect together, very, very similar to what we saw at Silver Cloud. And it took somebody to come in and really go through detail in those core holes to figure out that those veins were running east-west. And what we feel, based on the information we have from the Silver Cloud area, is that we're seeing very similar types of structures. There's, you know, maybe something that is running north-northwest, but the main ore controlling structures generally trend to run east-west.
Bill, can I butt in and ask you just when exactly Hecla kind of figured that east to west formation?
Yeah, it's been in the last, say 5 to 7 years. So it's fairly
Okay.
recent.
So, okay, interesting.
Yeah. Again, you know, that it's just been a matter of people not really looking at the data. There's lots of data that suggests things run east-west, and we'll just take a look at it. Again, here's the Teck area and the Placer Dome area here. If you go and you look at things like soils, what you'll see is that there's a very strong east-west component to those soils. So this is a group of soils that was run by geologics back in 2005. And you can see that you get a strong east-west patterning, and this is one of the pathfinders for low sulfidation systems. This is selenium. You see similar types of patterns when you look at arsenic and mercury. So we've looked at that. If you go back and you look at the geologic mapping, one of the things that you see in the mapping is there's a few east-west structures that have been mapped. And where those have been mapped, that's generally where we find the highest grade gold on the surface. So some of these east-west structures in here, we generally find gold at the surface. Some of these that you can kind of see in this area here, we find some gold in the surface.
So Bill, excuse me just for a second. So why did Teck walk away from Silver Cloud or not follow up on the 158 grams per ton hit that they had there in 02?
Yeah, that's a great question. And if you kind of look at the life history of a company, you know, Teck's been in and out of Nevada 4 times. So they've opened an office, they did some exploration, and they closed it. They opened an office, they did some exploration, and they closed it. In about 1995, they opened an office in Nevada, and in 2001, they closed it. And I happened to know of the Silver Cloud property at the time. I knew of the drill intercepts that Teck had. And so I approached Teck about doing a joint venture, and that's how Placer got involved. And they were on their way out of Nevada. They closed their office. They went off and did things in far-flung places. And, back in about 2010, guess what? They opened an office back in Nevada. So, it's just the way the life cycle of the companies go. There's different personnel come in and out of a company, and they decide what the priorities are. And at that time in 2001, as you can imagine, gold price was down around $250, $300 in that range, and they were getting out of gold.
Okay, so you guys are about to start something that's really exciting. You're gonna start with at least 4 holes at Silver Cloud, and you might expand upon that program, all depending upon the results that you get, I guess, and what you're seeing. So can you tell us about these 4 holes and what you're targeting?
Sure. In fact, I think the best way to do that might be to look at our geologic model here. So let's just switch gears a little bit. And hopefully you can see that now. So this is a plan map of the Silver Cloud mine area. That's the area we were just looking at. And what we're looking at is the surface geology. So the yellow is the recent alluvial or dirt. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start to peel off some of these layers here. So we'll get rid of this recent layer. So that's the dirt. The next layer down is what we call the upper tuff. This is a tufaceous unit that sits on top of the rhyolite. It so far has been unmineralized and not of too much importance. So we'll peel that layer off. Under that, we have this pink unit, which is a rhyolite. This is really important because all of the drill intercepts to date have been in this rhyolite unit. And I find that to be important because at Midas Mine, the mineralization is within the rhyolite, and the veins are much thicker than what you see at Hollister. So we have some pretty good grades with that 158 gram material. What I like to say is, we're looking for grades of Hollister and vein widths of Midas. And I think this being in this rhyolite is very important to us. Okay, under the rhyolite is this blue unit, which we call the lower tuff. And you can start to see the veins when we peel away the rhyolite. And the other kind of important features in this view are the veins, this green thing here, which is a porphyry, this orange thing here, which is a porphyry dike, and this gray unit, which is the basement. And at Hollister, all of the veins are in this basement rock, which is called the upper plate rock. What we see here is we've been able to put together, based on drilling, a main vein. This is the main Silver Cloud vein, potentially 3 hanging wall splays and 1 footwall splay. And all those are based on going back through the drill logs, looking at them in detail, and then looking at the assay results. These little discs you see on the drill holes, those discs are above 2 grams. So blue is 2 grams. Obviously, when we get to the red colors or the orangey colors, those are going to be above 10 grams. And we see some of those here in the Teck area and at the Placer Dome area. Okay, let me just put all these units back on, and we'll just cut a section through the units here. So we'll make a slice, a north-south slice, and I can just clean up a few things here. And we'll make our slices 25 meters thick. Okay, so let's view this in some detail. Okay, so just a refresher, the yellow is our dirt, alluvium. This is the upper tuff. This is the rhyolite. This is the basement. You can see on the very east end, we don't really see that lower tuff unit. And we have the rhyolite sitting right on the basement. One of the things, as I mentioned, I was able to do was go back through the drilling and look at it in detail. And one of the things that I saw in both the Teck and the Placer Dome intercepts is that they line up around the same elevation, which is roughly the 1,500 meter RL. If you go and you look at the Midas mine and the Hollister mine, what you'll see is those high-grade zones sit also around the 1,500 meter RL. So I thought that was pretty significant. And the other thing is, when you rotate the model in space, you can get those 2 intercepts that are roughly 2 kilometers apart to line up on an east-west direction. And so this main vein that we call it, this is the main Silver Cloud vein, it runs about azimuth 280. And you can make, like I said, it's like a gun sight looking through all the intercepts back between the Teck and the Placer area. There's a little less data to make up the footwall, and even less data to make up what I call hanging wall 2 and hanging wall 3. But you know, they're my best guess at this point in time. Okay, so if we start to work our way through the model, we're actually looking to the west, and we're going to move into the model. As you can see, this is this orange piece here. This is a north-northwest oriented dike. It's moving across to the northwest, and as it does that, somehow it's fundamentally that structure that dike is along is fundamentally controlling the basement structure. And you can see this blue unit down here start to open up. I think that's fairly significant for the mineralization here. Okay, so that lower unit starts to thicken up. We also see this basement unit kind of rising up to the west, or sorry, to the east. Okay, so let's just zoom in here. These are the Teck holes here, and you can see this red disc here. That's 158 grams. We'll just zoom into that, and you can see it's right near that dike. So I think that dike is fairly significant, and you can see there's some other hits that make up that main vein. And here's the first hanging wall splay.
So can you tell us a little bit about the timeline for this program? So when's the first hole going to start, and about how long is it going to take to do each hole, and then how long until we'll get some, you know, assays back.
Right. Okay, well, we're waiting on the drill rig. It's actually coming from the Hollister mine. And right now the schedule is for it to show up either on September 30th or October 1st. So we're getting pretty close to that. Supplies are getting delivered to the site, mud supplies and the things we'll need to drill, as well as all the sites have been built. So we're ready to go. We're just waiting on that drill. The drill, it should take about 20 days per hole. We're starting coring from the surface. The holes are roughly 500 meters on an angle. And we'll look at some of those holes here. Let's just turn these on. And we'll go back to that intercept with Teck. This is our first hole, and you can see it's coming back towards that intercept through the porphyry dike and hitting that intercept in the rhyolites. So we're quite excited by that. As soon as we finish that one, the pattern is really to step off and drill kind of fans of holes along the strike length of the vein. So the first hole will be here back towards the Teck area. The second hole will be farther to the west, roughly 2 kilometers, and it will go back towards that placer dome intercept. And I'll just work my way through that and we'll have a look at that. One of the things you can see in the model is you can see this lower tough unit getting thicker and the rhyolite getting a bit thinner. You can see some of the holes that will be drilled in between. This is a thing I think is quite important in the model, and that is this porphyry intrusive. Where we see the thickest mineralization is lapped up right against the intrusive in the main vein, and that's where placer dome had drilled, and we'll see that in just a second here. So this is the placer dome intercept. It's quite interesting because there were 2 hits over 10 grams in here, and you can see that porphyry is sitting right on the footwall side of that vein. Here's our second hole coming back towards that, and it's going to explore the porphyry and this footwall vein as well.
Isn't 10 grams that's pretty high grade for a porphyry hit, isn't it?
Well, I believe it's this vein sitting right on the edge of the
vein.
porphyry.
Okay, that makes sense.
And kind of the disseminated component of it was associated with the porphyry.
Were there
so that's that 12 grams of 12 meters of 5.5 grams.
Were there any historical drill data like into that porphyry system?
No, all of this is new, and it's all based on the placer dome drilling. So there's about 4 holes that intersected the porphyry out here. One of the things I kind of like about this area over here is you can see how the rhyolite is sort of domed in this region. I think that could be significant as well.
It's domed.
Okay, and then we're going to run out of model basically. So if we go back and look at the plan view again, our first hole over here on the Teck side, our second hole over here on the placer dome side. These are fans again. So let's see if I can just get them to come out a little better so we can actually see them. You can see the fan nature of these holes. So as we drill these off, there'll be a series of fan. There's enough permitted here for about 10,000, maybe 12,000 meters of drilling. But our first 2 holes, as I said, 2 here and 2 here.
And so the three targets in the middle will be coming down in the future, hopefully.
That is, if we're successful, then we'll start drilling that vein out in an east-west direction, and we'll target that 1,500 meter RL along
what's your drilling cost going to be, Bill?
Direct drilling will be about $300 per meter.
And you wanted
pouring again from the surface.
And you're going to do 2,000 meters?
We're going to do 2,000 meters. That's right.
And how much money do you have in the bank right now?
Well over $1 million Canadian. So this program will cost about 700,000 US.
Okay.
And they've got some, warrants that are in the money right now that could also come in over the coming months.
Right.
When do they expire?
Oh, they're 2 or 3 years out for expiring. So,
But they have some things where they could be, forced, right?
Yeah.
that's right. There's, I believe, I don't have that information available to me right this minute. But yeah, there's, I believe there's a kind of a trigger on those if stock price stays over a certain level.
So you're going to drill
if we're successful here and the stock reacts, we should be able to self-fund the remainder of the drilling.
Exactly. So you're going to drill 4 holes from 2 pad locations. Probably you'll be done by the end of October with those 4 holes.
Each hole will take about 20 days.
Oh, okay.
All right. So core. I use 20 days as kind of I'm sure we're going to have some drilling problems. So it'll be 20, 24-hour days, 2 shifts a day. And if we get done sooner, that's better for us. But yeah, then we'll, as soon as we see some vein material or whatever, we'll expedite those assays through the lab.
So this program could actually take until the end of the year.
Potentially. I think it'll be done by, say mid-December at the latest.
And then I just want to ask you one more question, because I know we're a little bit short on time now, but I was talking to your CEO a few weeks ago, and he was really excited about this target at the north end of the property. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, let's have a look at it. Okay. There, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we have here is in this kind of light color, that's the outline, that's the northeast portion of the Silver Cloud property. This kind of gray color here is Hecla's ground, and over here we can see the Hollister mine. Okay, can you see that? So this is about 3 kilometers between what we call the northeast veins target and the Hollister mine. What we're quite excited by is we did a soil program back in June, and we released those results back in July. We followed up with an extension of the program up in here and over in here. And what we're able to see is, again, some interesting pathfinder elements with arsenic and mercury. And as we went out and started to map specifically in this area here, we started to pick up these vein segments. And what's significant about those vein segments is they're tension gashes over the top of something that's running this way, which is very similar to what you see over here at Hollister. So the main veins run east-west, and above those are some structures that are mineralized running kind of north-south. So we're continuing to map and develop this area. We have a few holes that are permitted already to drill, and we'll probably be permitting some additional holes. But that's pretty exciting. These veins are actually at the surface. We see various orientations from kind of this northeast to north-south. So we're trying to put that together and look at it in the context of Hollister. What's also interesting, there's a different rock type. We're in some more intermediate volcanics and andesites, which is very similar geology to what we see over here at the Hollister. So those results just came out on Monday.
Mm-hmm. We are getting pretty short with time. We tried to keep it at 20 minutes. I think we ran over a little bit, but Rob, did you have any last follow-up questions you had for Bill before we I
don't really have any follow-up questions. I just want to say I'm really excited about this story right now, and I think this is a great time to be a shareholder. I'm a shareholder. I wrote up the company a couple times in the last 2 months, and I can't wait to do another update once we have more meat to talk about.
Yeah.
And like I said, we'll drill these holes, and we're not gonna sit on them. We'll get the information to the lab, and then we'll get the information out to the public as soon as we get it.
So first assay results could come out
It
mid-November.
could come out as early as say the end of October.
End of October. Okay, great. Gentlemen, thank you so much. This was very informative, and yeah, it was great. It was actually just fun to see the geological model move around, and a great explanation, Bill. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Take care, and thanks everybody. That's Blackrock Gold. We're traded on the TSX Venture with BRC, and also on the OTC markets with BKRRF. Take care.